In this video, we'll be getting into a few of the most important steps you can take before starting a new character in Final Fantasy XI. Things I myself have forgotten in the 15 plus years since I created my first character in Vana'diel. Whether you're playing on retail or private server, the initial start in Final Fantasy XI can be a little rocky. There isn't much direction on where or what you should do first, and absolutely no reminder from the game if you're missing out on something that could be incredibly valuable to your overall efficiency or just character overall ability. This is one of the game's greatest strengths, but it was surprising even to me about how much I'd forgotten about the first few days or weeks in Vana'diel, considering how long I've played this game. So I thought these tips might be helpful. Also, stick around at the end for a little bonus tip if you're thinking about experiencing Final Fantasy XI fresh in the near future. If you're new here, this is Hunt for Games, sharing my tips and passion for classics like Final Fantasy XI, as well as new games I'm hoping are going to be our next big thing. If that's right up your alley, consider subscribing. And if you've been here before, welcome back. But let's get right into kickstarting your adventure in Vana'diel. So first things first, you should really plan out your first job. And I don't just mean like what are those first out of the 6 that you can start as that you're gonna pick to like enter the game. But I mean, what is gonna be the first job that you wanna play, experience the beginning of the game as it? Because it's a little more important than you think. Whether you're waiting for that horrifically long install, or you're sitting at work or school agonizing over the hours before you can actually step into and play Final Fantasy XI, this is the perfect time to start actually planning your first move. Final Fantasy XI takes a little bit to get into from a logistical standpoint, so you got time. You got time to think about this. Final Fantasy XI leveling can take some time. I mean, even on new retail options with how quickly you can level, the beginning, you don't have all the benefits that make that speed as a parent. You don't have all the trust. You don't have the experience bonus from all of Rhapsody's Vana'diel. My point is it can take a little bit to get moving, and what do you want to be playing the early game as? What do you want to be farming for important early items, for quests, missions? What do you want to be hunting notorious monsters as? What's your first job that you want to be at level 40, 50, 60, 75, 99? At first, I didn't think this was really a big deal. I was like, you know what, first things first, let's get to 30. I want to get to 30 so I can start picking my advanced sub job. Best way to 30 in my mind was getting an 18 monk and then immediately taking warrior all the way to 30. You can kill things super fast for farming. It's pretty versatile. War will be useful for all sorts of melee jobs. It's a great starting point. But then I immediately realized about halfway there that I was definitely going to level like White Mage or Bard. And while I have this 30 warrior and it's super handy, I now have to go back and level Black Mage to 18 and the White Mage to 30 so I can level Bard to any significant point. It's not a big deal, and warrior's super, nice to have at level 30, but I'm doing all this stuff over again. And the weird part is, during that period where you're trying to like figure out what am I going to level, what job's going to be my real job, you still have a highest level job for like doing stuff as is still, in my case, warrior. And it will be until my bard gets back to 30 and then 31 and passes my warrior. So whenever somebody's like, hey, can you help out with this? Or hey, do you want to do this? I'm playing my warrior. I don't really want to play warrior. I don't really like warrior. I wanted to play bard. But here I am stuck as warrior because of my own stupid decisions, trying to get to 30 as fast as I could. It's not a big deal, but the people that made this decision faster earlier on, they're like, their white mage is already 45, or maybe their red mage is 30, 35, and they're ready to keep moving. And I'm like, I'm coming, guys. I'll be there soon. And it's not always easy to just kind of like play more to catch up. You just kind of find yourself falling behind. And there is no falling behind in Final Fantasy XI. Inevitably, someone will be like, you know what, I want to level that sub job for something else, and then they're back in the dunes leveling sub jobs, and here I am like pushing forward with my brand new bard. But my point is, I've played more of the early game than I really intended to as a warrior, hunting notorious monsters, farming items for quests, farming items to sell, just doing general stuff, running around collecting outpost warps, which we'll talk about more in a bit. All this kind of stuff, I've been on my warrior, and I can't stand warrior. It's just that it's dumb for me. I've never played warrior, and I probably never will. Also, all this bouncing around has forced me to kind of spread wealth to the different types of items. I go out hunting for better gear that's going to help my warrior, and then I'm buying equipment that's only going to be usable on my warrior, and all that stuff is great while I'm leveling warrior, but then all of a sudden I go back to white mage and I've got nothing. I've built up nothing for my white mage, and that kind of sucks. If you choose what you want to do, like if I knew I was going to focus on black mage, then white mage, then bard, right from day one, I could have focused on spells, gear, quests, money, all that kind of stuff on a single job that I knew was coming, and I would have been much more prepared to hit the ground running with bard once I finally got it. Plus, getting that first job to 30, which was my whole point, was like, I want to hit 30 because there's so many benefits there. But having a job at 30, 40, even 50 can change how you can approach Vana'diel. I mean, so much opens up to you if you just have a job there that you're ready and willing to use. But now that I know that I'm not really going to take warrior any further, I've just got this 30 warrior that is just kind of sitting there. If that was at If that had been a bard, or even a white mage, a 38 white mage would be a little bit more useful. But if I had a bard at level 30, 40, 50, because I know that I'm going to keep taking it further, that it just like sets you up better. Not a huge deal, but it, you know, if you really think about it for a few minutes, it might help you out. Obviously, some of the best fun in Final Fantasy XI is being able to change jobs on the same character, and I've done it more than my fair share. It's probably why I'm in this problem right now. It's the best part about the game, in my opinion, is that you can sit on your same character and have different jobs that you're making progress with over time. But in the very, very beginning, you should really probably think about it a little bit and try to decide what looks most appealing to you and go for it. Now, if you get to 40 or even 30 and you're like, I hate this, change it up. Do it. Who cares? But at least like make the attempt. I didn't even make the attempt. Now, we kind of briefly touched on this a second ago, but number 2 is to find out what stats are important for your character. Seek out specific items that might be really beneficial for, say, a white mage or a black mage or a monk, but aren't really useful for anything else. For instance, I did the whole long, drawn-out quest for the power Give when I was first leveling my monk, just because I'm like, hey, this will be super awesome while I'm leveling monk. It's +1 strength body. It's the best body till like 40 or something stupid, but regardless. It also is worth like a decent amount of money. So I was like, there's benefits all over the year, but I only sought it out because I was going to be leveling monk, and I was like, that's a useful monk item that I can get multiple benefits from. Most amazing pieces in the early game come from quests, or a few notorious monsters, and sometimes just random item drops. I mean, nothing in the early game besides a few of the crazy things like Leaping Lizzie Boots and the Leaping Lizzie Boots, the full title of the boots. There's like Eremite's rings, or what's the level 1 int ring and the level 1 mind ring. They're just drops from worms in like King Ramper's tomb and out in Dangrafwadi. Those are really useful rings that for like the first 10 levels, but you know, you could realistically use them for a little bit longer than that if you wanted, and they're just drops. You can just go farm them. The quests are kind of a bigger deal because some of them are stupid easy. I mean, the Justice Badge, the +3 mind level 7 neck piece, is like the dumbest quest ever in terms of actual effort involved. It's in Winders, so you know, if you're not in Winders, that's going to change how things work out for you a little bit, and you might have to work a little bit harder to get it. But if you're there, that's another thing to think about. Like, if I'm going to definitely level White Mage, maybe I should start in Winders because it'll make getting that a lot easier. I don't think you should base your starting city entirely on what job you're going to start as, but something to think about. It's just easy to forget how many of these items came from quests because I did those quests one time 15 years ago. These aren't repeatable quests for gear items. So some of these really amazing pieces of gear that are kind of expensive on the auction house are a really simple quest. The reason they're expensive is because people do it the one time, it's out in the world, maybe that item is lost forever somehow, but then people can't get it again. The only way you can get it is if a new player comes along and does the quest again. So it builds up the value of that item in the overall in-game economy. But you can get it pretty easily because you're a new character, and it could be incredibly valuable to you while you're leveling, and then you can sell it, and it's even more valuable because now you've used it to level, and now you've got the gil from it to get even better gear. I mean, it's just like a win-win, but look out for those items. There's a bunch of great, amazing guides online for different starting gear that's useful. But just like, you know, look into it a little bit. Like I said, with the Justice Badge being in Windurst, or, you know, there's that one agility neck piece in Sandoria that you can get. I forget what it's called. Some of these are far off lands from where you start, and they may or may not be feasible for you to get. But by mission 2-3, you have to visit. You have to visit every starting city anyway. So you could plan it out. You're like, hey, if I'm leveling White Mage or Red Mage or both, by the time I'm like level 15, 18, 20, and I have to go to the other cities anyway, I might as well do this quick quest while I'm there and get an amazing neck piece for free. Just try to plan it out. Like, if you know you're going to be around Sandoria and you're going to need some mind rings, maybe farm a couple of the level 1 mind rings from worms in King Ramper's tomb while you're there, and just like a double up your benefit, because travel can be really difficult in Final Fantasy XI. So planning ahead with what am I going to level, what items am I going to need, where am I going to be, how can I combine enough activities while I'm there. This is all the kind of stuff that it helps to think about. Because if you go all the way to Sandoria, then you get back to Windurst, and you're like, crap, there was like a really nice quest there for an item that I could have really used, but now I'm back here, and it's going to take me forever to get back to Sandoria. In retail, this is a little less crucial, I'll be honest. I mean, if something's really far away, it's probably not worth going after it early on, because honestly, trusts make it pretty easy to level without having the most amazing gear. But for me, having amazing gear as I'm leveling is part of the fun. I want to be really good myself. I don't want to watch all the trust do all the work for me. That's me, and that's how I would approach a fresh character on retail, but maybe you're different. Point is, might not be the biggest deal if it's really hard to get, but think about it. It could be worth it, and could be a lot of fun. Number 3, we kind of just touched this a second ago, but plan for travel. Vana'diel is huge. I mean, moving about is going to take a long time. So if you know that you're going to be somewhere for some activity, maybe it's mission 2, 3, maybe it's just an item or a quest that you really want, try to like coordinate doing a couple things while you're there so you don't have to make the travel twice. But this goes beyond that. As soon as you start, be thinking about how you can minimize your travel for the future. It is your biggest goal always at any time. If somebody says, hey, I've got the most amazing party ever for you, but you've got 2 hours left in the week to get like the Zolkheim outpost to warp out to the dunes whenever you want from an outpost warp, that outpost warp is your higher priority. Screw the party. You got to get to that warp right away because you might lose it. You only have it while the region's controlled by your nation, and that might not be the case next week. But it goes simpler than that. We'll get back to outposts in a second. But I mean, from your first steps into the game, be looking for these kind of opportunities. The little flower girl quest to be able to exit the Mog House to any of the different zones within your nation or other nations. That's a huge one. That can save you a ton of travel time just within your own city. In the first few levels, you're going to be in your city a lot, just kind of wandering around doing different quests. That's a very cheap and easy quest that you can quick do immediately if you're remembering and like quick to think about it. But most of us did it 14 years ago, so you kind of forget that it's even a quest, that it wasn't just always an option. That's a big one. Hit that up immediately so you can exit. As soon as you go to a new city, try to remember to do it there too, because it'll save you a lot of time. The only one that I would say is not like crucial is Juno, just because of how the Mog House is like set up. You basically just kind of can hop out immediately. But regardless, it's super easy. Definitely do it. The outpost warps like we were talking about are super important. They're less important for retail because of how the home point warps work, which we'll talk about in a second. But they're still really useful, and some places in Vana'diel are easier to get to by the home point or by the outpost warps than home point warps or books. I guess there's always a book there too. The outpost warps aren't a huge deal anymore. They used to be a much bigger deal, and in private servers, it's pretty much your primary source of travel. I would still consider doing it. They're a lot of fun, like kind of dangerously running out to a distant location on behalf of your nation of Vana'diel, but you know, whatever. Like we just mentioned, in retail, you definitely want to grab those books and the home points whenever you see them. Just click on them, and then you have access to travel them from any of the other books or other home points. This is a game changer, and if you see a home point and you've never clicked it, click it. You'll thank me later. But guys, those are the basic tips for starting a fresh, brand new character in Final Fantasy XI. Things that I totally forgot about that really can change how you open up and play your game. As the bonus tip that I promised, I made this mistake and I would recommend that you avoid it. Don't focus on fame. I thought fame was going to be a bigger deal. I had a whole write-up on fame and this bonus tip thing being like, fame is something you want to think about right away. Start thinking about doing extra quests so you're never blocked from doing a quest by fame. Fame is nowhere near as big a deal as it used to be, even in private servers. Most private servers, there's some easier quest somewhere that is cheap and easy to do and raises your fame like super fast. It's different depending on the server you're playing. It's different depending on the quests available and the items and where people have spent their time. Whatever, but it's just not a big deal. Retail, yeah, they changed how fame works so much that it is super easy to build fame really fast. And because leveling is so quick, fame is a problem when you're a level 20 character trying to get 2 or 3 fame to do a quest that's going to change your life. Fame is not a problem when you're a level 60 character and you can bash through whatever quest they're offering. If you can kill every Yagudo in Gideus in like 10 seconds, you're going to get a lot of Yag necklaces and you're going to build up your Norg and Tenchoto fame real quick. As a level 20 character, that may not be an option for you, but as a level 60, it's fine. And in retail, you level so fast. Like, fame is just not your biggest concern, is my point. I spent a lot of time trying to calculate easy ways to build fame, and I had all these plans, and I spent all this effort kind of mapping out different items I was going to get so I could cheaply and most effectively raise my fame quickly. Don't do it. Just look it up when it finally becomes a problem. It'll take like 10 seconds. It's really not a big deal. But guys, I appreciate you hanging out for this one. Having recently gone back to experience some Final Fantasy XI on the private server Eden, it's been very interesting to me, like, experiencing a fresh character for the first time in however many years. This is a lot of stuff that I forgot, so I hope it's helpful. I think most of these tips cross both into retail and private server. I think they're just generally good tips to have. A lot of that experience has been shared with the Mog House and Andrican Gaming. Definitely check out their channels if you haven't already. They both love Final Fantasy XI and have shared their own experiences in different fun ways. So check them out if you haven't. Otherwise, I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in more videos like this, think about subscribing. And if you already have, don't forget to click that little bell next to the sub button to get notified when new videos go live. Hit me up in the comments with your thoughts on this video, or come hang out and chat with me on Twitch every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And definitely look me up on Twitter or Instagram and Hunt for Games to keep up with what else I've got going on. See ya.